The global elite are wounded and cornered, and now they're pulling out all the stops to regain control. They've instructed legacy media to work overtime, flooding the airwaves and the internet with distractions and lies to distract the public and control the narrative.
Look, there's a lot of normies out there that seem to be transiently interested in the conspiracies at the very beginning. And so I feel, the pattern that I've noticed is that when there's an operation in play, intelligence assets get right to work with a code red to start posting a bunch of information on authoritative sources like Wikipedia, which are ranked high by Google. And that way, when a normie tries to do a search, they get immediately pushed to a Wikipedia site that has so much information that they just pretty much get that idea that, yeah, this is totally normal, this is totally legitimate, and then they sort of go back to sleep. And so that's why I think this operation get the narrative out there so that people that are online doing searches, pretty much see it and go back to sleep and don't suspect that something is weird.
According to a military whistleblower, the truth behind the DC mid-air collision is far darker than most people are willing to accept. What's being presented as a tragic accident was in reality a carefully orchestrated operation to silence someone who was getting too close to exposing the truth about the pandemic and the usual suspects behind it.
You want to know the real story behind that mid-air collision? It wasn't a fluke, it was planned. The crash in DC wasn't just an accident, it was a message, a carefully executed move. And here's why. Someone in the military, someone high up, was getting too close to the truth, too close to exposing what really happened during the pandemic and who was pulling the strings behind it all. He was on the verge of revealing the truth about Bill Gates and Tony Fauci, the ones who used the pandemic not just as a global crisis, but as an opportunity to solidify power, profit, and control. This person was actively working to bring these individuals to justice, but they couldn't let that happen. So they orchestrated a plan, a very public, very violent spectacle that would distract the world, shift the narrative, and bury the investigation. The media, they're all in on it. They're covering it up, twisting the facts, and making sure no one asks the right questions. They're playing their part just like always. But this isn't just about silencing one person. It's part of a bigger agenda, one where the power brokers, the ones in the shadows, are fighting to regain control. They'll stop at nothing to keep their grip on the system, to prevent the truth from ever seeing the light of day. You want to know what's coming next? More carnage, more bloodshed, total chaos. This is just the beginning. They're at war with the new administration, and they won't hesitate to escalate things until they get what they want. Don't think for a second that this ends with a few plane crashes. It's all part of their plan.
The elite and their propagandists in the media are determined to keep up the charade, to maintain their grip on the narrative. But the truth is, the people are waking up. Every day, we're getting closer to full disclosure of the myriad of crimes we've been subjected to in recent years. We've been the unwitting victims of the most insidious psychological assault in history. But make no mistake, the walls are closing in on them. Soon, the truth will no longer be able to hide in the shadows, and the world will finally see what's been happening behind closed doors.
I also would just like to point out that several years ago when I was working in this press shop and President Trump would take to this podium to brief the American people on COVID-19, he suggested that COVID very well may have came from a lab in Wuhan, China. And many members in this very room mocked him for that, said he was spewing conspiracy theories. He was not. We now know that to be the confirmable truth. It took many years for it to come out, but the president was right in this instance again. Sure.
The press corps was left speechless when it was confirmed that the so-called conspiracy theorists were right all along. Remember when simply mentioning the lab leak theory would get you banned from Facebook and Twitter? Remember when so-called fact-checkers had the power to shadow ban you just for voicing uncomfortable truths? They silenced anybody who dared to question the official narrative. But now, the truth is finally breaking through. We've come a long way, but recent events show that the elite are far from finished. They're still desperately trying to regain control, and the battle is far from over. There's still a long road ahead before we can truly vanquish them and hold them accountable for the crimes they've committed. We're living in critical times, And here at the People's Voice, we need your help to continue exposing the elite and holding them to account before it's too late. Join us in our mission to wake up the masses by subscribing to the channel and joining the People's Voice Locals community to join our amazing team. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers.